I'm James Walker.
I'm a driver in the RGB Sports 1000 race series.
I was always a bit of a petrol head. As soon as I could drive a car, I was wanting to drive them quickly. As soon as I was working and could afford a car, I'd buy the sort of quickest car I could afford, or some old jalopy of an old Renault 5 Turbo or something, Bought a race-prepared Westfield, and it was a bike-engined Westfield. Went to do some track days with it, and at that track day, which was 2006, I met some guys who are still racing here in RGB, who were there looking for people to join the series. It was quite young at the time, and they said to me, "You could just race this car as it is in the race series. Why don't you come and do the racing?" I said, "Well, how do you do that? I don't know." So I'd never even thought about it. So they told me, and I looked it up, and I went and did my race license test and got my license and took my car racing. And just literally on my own. I didn't have anybody to help me prepare or anything. Went to Brands Hatch, first race in 2007, and I got a third in class trophy. I thought, this is all right, isn't it? I thought, actually, maybe I'm not going to be so bad at this. I was quite bad at it. Did it a few times and realised that things break. And, I'd missed the race because I'd broken it, and then I'd go and get it fixed at home by someone. And then those early days of trying to cobble together a race myself, but then being in the pack with all these people that have been doing it for ages and are probably quite really good drivers, and I'm up there and I'm winning trophies, and I'm thinking, well, this is good. The thing that changed my racing career was meeting Tim Gray, because he then said, well, started to help me look after the car. I then got a different car which he then developed, and we developed that into a really, really good car. Tim is, well, first and foremost, an absolute genius driver. I mean, honestly, he should be at the top level. He's a world-class driver, but he's also a very clever car designer. So he worked with the guy that owns Spire Cars, Paul Nightingale, who is the engineer, and they've developed this car. So, and Tim's developed a business on the back of helping people like me who go motor racing. They prepare the car for me, they bring the car to the track, I just turn up, drive it, he coaches me, he does, and then it means that if anything goes wrong on the weekend, they're there to fix it. In 2014, I won the Class F championship overall. I'm not saying I'm the best driver in the class necessarily, but I was consistent. I was good enough to be winning, against some decent competition at the time. Just being consistent, doing it as much as I could afford to do it, just putting everything I had into it. Oh, incredibly nervous, absolutely terrified. It's a really intimidating thing to be on a grid with a load of other cars. I mean, the heart's going like a million beats a minute. I mean, it was like a really, really terrifying experience. I was thinking, do I really want to be doing this? But once you're off and running, it's like the adrenaline just takes over, and you're into the whole spirit of it at the time. I can't think of any other sport where you get that real intense adrenaline. It's amazing. It's an odd combination of intense excitement, but it can be extremely frustrating. When you're racing, you may be getting stuck behind someone that you know that you're faster than, but you haven't quite got the bravery just to sort of dive down the inside or something. And you've got, that comes later, but having a really fantastic race and then making a tiny mistake and spinning is just the worst thing in the world. Even if you do no damage and carry on, but you've lost your position, and the frustration is enormous. But even after the worst of races, you know, you come back at the end and you say, oh, that was brilliant, you know. It's that highs and lows in one short period of time, which is quite amazing, actually. It's club racing. It's called RGB Sports 1000. RGB is road going bike engine. The club we're run by is called 750 Motor Club, and they specialise in the affordable end of motorsport. So for people that literally build their own cars and run themselves. So it's the cheaper end of the spectrum of club motorsport. But it's very well respected, and our series in particular has had a lot of press recently. We had a professional driver, Anthony Reid, who's an ex-Le Mans driver, who came and did a round with us and did a really good write-up in Autosport for us, and said this really is the pinnacle of club motorsport, this series. The speed for the price is so high that our cars' lap times are equivalent to the British GT sports car racing. For someone who wants to come from, say, karting into a motorsport which is as exhilarating, if you like, as karting, this would be a great stepping stone to then go become professional. We're probably at the top end of the speed that you can get in amateur motorsport. Here, which is probably one of the fastest straights that we have, we're going into Stowe Corner at about 130 miles an hour, just over, which is fast enough when you're 2 inches off the ground. 2 inches, not quite. 70 mil, actually. What is interesting about these cars is that the cars are very similar. There's 2 or 3 cars, maybe 4 cars, that are consistently ahead, and everyone assumes that they've got the fastest car. But I know that the difference in speed between me being 4th and me winning is down to me. The half a second is all down to the pilots. There's various levels of prizes. So there's the overall championship. So if you get the most points by the end of the year, you'll win the overall championship. And there's first, second, and third in that. And then there's also this thing called the Sporting Cup. For those that are very unlikely to get a podium, then there's a second level of championship going on. So if you're 4th, you're first in the Sporting Cup, which is what I did yesterday. I qualified 4th. Which was my best qualifying ever, which means I'm on the second row of the grid. And I had a great race, had a great start. I got them to 3rd straight away. Well, actually, I was almost 2nd straight away, but 3rd by the first corner. I held that position for half the race. I was about 8 laps in, and then Richard Morris, who'd had quite a bad start, managed to catch me and get past me, and I couldn't stick with him. I mean, we were close, but we were probably half a second a lap apart, so he was gradually catching me, and then he got past and I couldn't. So then I was 4th. With about 3 laps to go, the guy who was running second span, so I got past him, so then I was back into 3rd with 2 laps to go, and I was thinking, this is amazing, I could get a podium here. But unfortunately for me, the guy that had spun recovered, and then in half a lap he managed to catch me and get past me again. I mean, he was like a second a lap quicker than me. But then on the very last lap we got stuck in back markers. He got stuck in back marker, behind a back marker, and I caught up with him, and we literally went across the line with about 3 metres apart. It was tantalisingly close to get that 3rd, much coveted real podium, which I'd never had. So that was a bit near, but not quite near enough. But it was exciting. And the whole thing was just so exhilarating. I mean, it's absolutely what I turn up here to do. It was brilliant. The most emotional roller coaster was that year that I won the championship, and then the last race of the season. Most of that day I just felt sick, and I thought, I'm really not enjoying this. The highs and lows of that day were unbelievable. I came in, I was in tears. It was amazing. But I think back about it now, and I actually remember the lows as well, and I think, I don't know whether I want to go through that again. But yeah, I would go through it again if I had, get the chance to win the championship again. But it is an amazing ups and downs of a roller coaster of emotions. Yeah. But to win was just incredible. My wife has been very good about me disappearing 7 weekends a year. She's very supportive, and she did come along a couple of times. I quite like it like that because it takes the pressure off. I wouldn't want her worrying about me whilst I'm here. I know people do have their families here, and I can't help thinking that there must be a little niggling worry that they are worried about them. I'd still rather my wife wasn't there watching. She can watch the video later, which she never does, by the way. Even when I won the championship, I just said, yeah. I was useless at sport at school. I never did anything. I maybe a bit of cross-country running. That was, I never won anything. And suddenly there's a sport I can do. Well, yeah, I think it's made me more confident. I've really found something that I'm quite good at, but I'm not the best. But I'm quite good at it. I'm not there. I'm there. I can't think of any comparable really. It is the most intense high that you can get.